Good day, everyone. I'm just going to wait a minute to see if there's going to be anyone joining me. But it doesn't matter anyway, but I'll share this later on Facebook. So I just wanted to share some techniques to resolving any attachments that we might have to people, places, and events that have been traumatic. And also resolving issues within our own energy field and things that have manifested in our body. So it's really important that we become aware that love is a frequency, just as fear is a frequency. And fear is something like love is the foundation of life. It's the energy, life force energy that flows through everything that we see and everything that we don't see. And fear is an energy that we learn through our experiences in life. Right? So what happens is we have an event that might be traumatic, and we develop a little story about ourselves because all of the information isn't available, even though the information is available, but because we're operating from our conditioned mind, from the intellect, we have limited our perception of what's going on, right? So it's like being in a narrow mindset, having blinders, right? And we actually act like filters, which interfere with our ability to be able to see, with our ability to hear in conversation. So these filters, it's almost like, when the sun hits something, it diverts it. So what we're hearing is interfered with. So it's like noise. So it's up to us to recognize when we have these filters, and honesty is always the best policy. So if we're hearing something that kind of grates on us, like the more sensitive we are, the more self-aware we are, we will pick up energies that and what's held within our field that we have an emotional attachment to, or like that tethering, right? And this tethering can go ancient depending on who we are, right? And what's happened to us and how much we've actually worked on ourselves through our different lifetimes. So today I'm going to be presenting some techniques that we can use that will assist us to transcend and transmute those interference patterns, I call them, right? So those little stories that we develop. And what's really interesting is those little stories can be imprinted at the simplest thing. We don't even have to have a huge trauma. Like, we might drop something like a teacup, and it breaks, and our mother gets, it's her favorite teacup, and she's not in her awareness, and so she, oh my God, how can you? She go, how could you do that? How could you be so clumsy? And in that instant, we actually get imprinted with a little story that, oh my God, that stuff's more important than I am, right? And that little story has an energetic signature that gets imprinted like a little recording running in our electromagnetic field, right? But when we do have a huge trauma, those traumas do get locked up in our cellular memory. So, and it's up to us to be in the awareness, because nobody can remove those stories or those frequencies for us. We can go to somebody that's a healer, and they can, if they're really good, they'll do quantum unentangling and the quantum work needed to actually totally and completely resolve the issue so that it's no longer in our field, right? So But today what I'm going to do is, for self-empowerment, is to give the viewers techniques to use for themselves, right? And so that we can heal our own wounds, those shadows, right? And there are energies that feed on fear, because they're stuck in that frequency of fear, and they like to hang out and play havoc with us. So, and sometimes if we're not aware, we actually, as soon as we choose to go into anger, fear, resentment, shame, blame, any of that opens up a little space in our energy field, they'll come in and attach themselves, and sometimes this energy, these entities will actually influence us in future experiences, to have us do things that are not in our best interest, right? That aren't really who we are. So, like, we can do this entity removal or implant removal for ourselves. And that's what I'm going to invite us to do. I'm just going to, I'm just going to invite us to just breathe into this moment. And what I like to do is put my arms out to the sides with my palms up, and I bring my hands up above my head, and then just bring my palms down in the prayer position in front of me, with the intention of gathering up all those little bits of myself that are quantumly entangled to people, places, and events. And we're going to go through all lifetimes, all dimensions, all realities, through all space-time and non-space-time. We're just going to tap our thymus gland. The thymus gland is one of the master glands for the immune system, but it's also the seat of the soul. This is the high heart. And when we tap and activate the thymus gland fully, it will send a information wave through the information highway to the mitochondrial DNA to activate it. And we're going to activate the Taurus breath. As we breathe in, we breathe out, and as we breathe out, we breathe in. And so the energies flowing around our body flow in the form of a Taurus, right? So, and it goes multidimensionally, right? So it's flowing. And so what we're going to do is we're going to invite going into the galactic center, going into the 0-point field, and pulling that energy frequency up, so that we're breathing that frequency out into our electromagnetic, our attractor field. And then what we're going to also do is put our awareness on the external world, and anything and everything that's in front of us and around us. We're going to breathe that information into our center and send it into the central sun for reset, right? So as we breathe in, we breathe out, and as we breathe out, we breathe in. So this is a kind of a little different way of releasing. So what we're going to do is we're going to release into ourselves, into the central sun, any of those attachments, those tethered cords to any and all events that are non-beneficial for our energy frequency, and that are actually keeping us out of vibrational frequency with our higher self, right? I'm just breathing into this moment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite everyone to set the energetic frequency of removing any of those interference patterns. So like little recordings in our energy field, and like to be transcended and transmuted. It's like pulling out the recordings, any interference that is interfering with our ability to see clearly, to hear clearly, on all dimensions. So, and what I'm going to invite you to do is to put your hands together and rub your hands together in a circular motion. Rub, rub, rub. You can feel this energy heat being generated in your palms between your hands. Just you can speed it up or slow it down, whatever feels good for you. Just making a circle and rubbing your hands together. And now just slowly bring your hands apart and you'll feel tingles. And now just bring your hands apart and then just play with it and you will feel your own electrical field. That's your energy, right? Between your hands. And you can just pull, slowly move your hands apart and just notice where you don't no longer feel that tingles or where it gets cooler energy. And the further you go apart, the stronger your field is, right? Your ability to, like the more fear we're in, the smaller will be our ball, right? But we want to just bring the ball together and it'll actually feel like magnets pushing against each other. And what I'm going to invite you to do is to hold your hands together and you can close your eyes. And what we're going to do, we're going to build this big ball of energy. And just notice if you can see the color of this ball of energy. And we're going to bring up a memory, like memories that were joyful or enlightening, altered states of consciousness where you had an epiphany, where your mind expanded. And we're going to put those energies into the ball. And now what I'm going to also invite you to do is to maybe think of an animal that you just absolutely love. Animals are good because they're unconditional in their love. They're non-judgmental. And so just feel the love that you have for that animal. It's like its playfulness and its joy. And just, I'm going to invite you to feel that energy in every cell of your body. And I'm just going to bring up Mary Magdalene's magenta rose frequency, the frequency of Saint Germain's violet flame, and the gold, silver, platinum, and diamond ray. We're going to put those frequencies into this ball of energy that's in front of our hands, that we're building in our hands. And just breathe and strengthen that ball of energy. And you can play with it. Just watch it, right? And now what I'm going to invite you to do is take that ball of energy and put it into the thymus gland. Just put it right into the thymus gland. And you'll feel the thymus gland warming up. And when we get sick, the thymus gland will actually swell up. It'll get swollen and it'll be hot, right? And what we're doing is we're putting that neutral energy, that unconditional energy, into the thymus gland to calm the central nervous, the autonomic nervous system and the central nervous system, right? And we're going to invite a detoxification on all dimensions of mind and matter. So this frequency has the ability to transcend and transmute all frequencies that are not of it. We want to remember that the frequency of the words that the words that we use actually have a frequency that is either complementary to our wanting to be in well-being, or it's counterintuitive. Right. When my children were young, I had this memory the other day that when the children were young, my oldest was only 6 at the time, but I think they were about 2 or 3 when I was told to put a crystal in their water. And so I, to restructure the water to its crystalline structure, because when the water is crystallized, it has the ability to go into the cell more readily and pull out allow the cells to detoxify on the physical level. Right? And so this one day when my oldest daughter was 6, I saw her, we had standing in front of the fridge with an ice cube water, and she was standing there. I couldn't figure out what it was she was doing, and I just watched her for a few minutes, and then I asked her, "Sweetheart, what are you doing? And why aren't you putting it in the freezer?" And she says, "Oh, I have to put my love into it first." And I'm going, "Oh my goodness, what a great idea," right? And after the ice cubes froze, they actually grew crystals. Some of them were tall, like 2.5 inches tall, and really, really thin. Other water crystals were short and fat, just like, well, not this big, but like the same structure. This is an amethyst generator, but it had the same structure as a crystal, but it was made out of water. And so her little sister, she's just a year younger than her, they would have a contest as to who could grow the most water crystals. And they would freeze the water would freeze, and they would go in and they'd break off these, they're like icicles, and they'd just break them off and they'd eat them, but then we'd use the ice cubes in our drinks, right? And so this is just a reminder that it's really important, if you're wanting to be healed, to resolve any manifestations of traumatic events in our body, because our body is thought actualized, and it can only show us what we're holding on to, the thoughts that we're thinking, and the frequency of the words that we're speaking to ourselves, and what others are projecting into us. And so it's up so that those frequency of those words no longer have an impact on our energy. So that it's, our electromagnetic field, because we haven't been diligent in raising our frequency, those energies have had a chance to go into our energy field, and we become like a sponge for the lower density energies, right? And we I'm losing my train of thought, but so it's up to us to raise our frequency and clear out anything that would allow that energy to come into our field and stay there, right? So I'm gonna show you these techniques so that you can use them to raise your frequency every day. And so now that we have this beautiful ball of energy in our chest, what I'm going to invite you to do is to think of that puppy or that kitten, a pet that we might have had, or when you see a puppy or a kitten, you get that warm fuzzy feeling and you just want to cuddle it, right? And we're just going to generate that feeling of nurturing and loving feeling. And just say, "I love myself," and generate that feeling, and allow that feeling to go through your entire body, right into your bones. And now I'm going to invite you to think of a person, place, or event that you're having problems with, that are that have been traumatic. And just say, "I love myself" when I think of that. And I'm going to invite you to flow that frequency into those events or into the other individual. And just invite a quantum unentangling through all lifetimes, all dimensions, all realities, that is keeping us tethered to that story and to that individual. And just say, "I love myself" when I think of, and just say their name and see what happens. just do that 3 times. I love myself when I think of, and then say them again. I love myself when I think of, and I'm just doing some quantum untangling to assist. And now we're going to say, may Source love, Ulu love, unconditional love, 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 and God's white light surround us. And breathe into this moment. May Ulu love, Source love, unconditional love, 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 and God's golden white light surround us. Yes. Very good. May Source love, unconditional love, Ulu love, 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 and God's golden white light surround us. And just allow. Open, soften, and allow. Yeah. And know that it would be good to do this if you're having any problems, especially with your parents, siblings, people that you're working with. And it's also important that we do this for ourselves. So anywhere where we're still having shame, blame, or guilt, like we want to maintain that energy frequency of unconditional love, 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 and just say, I love myself in shame. And just breathe. And we're just going to send that energy of shame into the galactic center for reset. I love myself in shame. And you might have gotten a picture in your mind's eye. And we're just going to, any memories, we're just going to allow them to flow through like a movie reel. But I'm going to invite you to put a frame, like box it in like a picture frame in your mind's eye. So any traumatic memories, just put them up here in the mind's eye, and we're just going to flow that frequency of unconditional love and surround those experiences and flood those experiences with this wave of God's love, that golden white light. Yes. And I would suggest any time that we're having a reaction to something someone says to us, just explore that, because it's it's so important that we know who we are. We know what's driving us. We know why we do what we're doing, And if we're reacting to in fear, in anger, we know that that's a fear. Anger is the fear of not having control, of our life, of our situations. And this is a really good technique to restore self-confidence, self-esteem, becoming the master. Self-awareness is the key to self-mastery, and mastering our own energy and being able to direct our own energy is the key to our success. Right? We become the captain and commander of our own little ship here, right? And as we raise our frequency individually and walk in alignment, because the more we remove those filters, the more we can actually tune in that radio station to be able to hear our higher self for direction and shining a light in front of us on our path, right? But we are the ones that keep ourselves in lower density, that anger, fear, resentment, any of those energies that cloud the path in front of us so that we're not able to actually hear our higher self. And just know that we are loved and loved beyond measure. Now what I'm going to invite you to do is to lock this knowing. What we're doing is resetting the autonomic nervous system to this new frequency that we have. Now that we've cleared, some of the density out of our field and out of our experience, we want to lock this new set point into the autonomic nervous system, because the vagus nerve is either driving wellness or it's driving disease. And what we're doing is we're resetting our vagus nerve so that we don't go into anxiety as easily. And so just find a technique. You can put like this here, put your thumb and your index finger together, and then put your thumb through the hole, and then put your other fingers together, the ring finger, the baby finger, the ring finger, and the middle finger, and just tap 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and squeeze. Do that 3 times, 1, 2, 3, squeeze, 1, 2, 3, squeeze, locking that in, and you'll feel a little electrical current go through your body. That's your electrical system. That's your nervous system, right? And we want to do techniques that help to support the vagus nerve, especially if we've had a severe trauma or anything like that. The vagus nerve is what gets pulled out of balance, and we want to invite restoring the autonomic nervous system so that it's able, instead of to be in reactivity, fight or flight, it goes into harmonized state where we're able to respond from a place of calmness to the situations that arise. Yes? And I'm just going to invite you to just pull your energy field in, and maybe take a few minutes, maybe 5 or 10, 15 minutes to just go and be quiet for yourself. Just go into a meditative state and just harmonize and integrate this energy. And you might actually get some downloads from your higher self or from those higher light beings that are here to assist you. And thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.